jump right back into this thing. Big Sarge Sports Brief, okay? All right, listen. I don't know what it is about this thing that I've gotten on within the last 3 days talking about the NCAA and coaches. I just don't know what it is. On Wednesday, I talked about the University of Kentucky going to give their head coach a bonus if he reaches 7 wins. He's at 6-1 right now, and so they're going to give him a bonus for every game he wins after 7. And if he wins more games, then they'll give him more money. If he wins, but he's not winning anything. It's the kids. So we talked about that on Wednesday. Then on yesterday, we talked about the investigative report coming back and the report stating that at the University of Maryland, where they had a kid die during drills, that the University of Maryland football team did not have a toxic culture. They just fostered an environment where kids didn't want to tell what was going on. Remember, we talked about that, right? We talked about how DJ Durkin and the strength coach were in cahoots, and this young man died, and now all of a sudden when this young man passed away, all of the other stuff started coming out, right? All the other stuff that was going on there started to come out. And now, so, listen, I don't know. I don't know. Look, I told you all, I'm allergic to hypocrisy. So when I see it, feel it, smell it, touch it, I just break out. So why do you have some NCAA coaches who are stuck in the past? They still think the kids should be grateful to have the opportunity to play college sports. The opportunity to play college sports. The opportunity, let me see how that works. Okay, I get that. You got the opportunity to play college sports. Or do I got the opportunity to make you more money, coach? Like you're going to get more money, right, coach? Right? Right. Okay. Let's go ahead and talk about Jim Boeheim. Those of you all know Jim Boeheim is the coach that's been at Syracuse, I think, since Ernie Davis was there. It seems like he's been there since Donovan McNabb, right? Because Donovan McNabb was at Syracuse for like 12 years, it seemed like. I looked up and I think one time I seen Donovan McNabb playing equestrian. I know he played football. I know he didn't play basketball, but he was there for a very long time. But let's jump into Jim Boeheim, whose estimated net worth is $12 million. He is a relic and a dinosaur, y'all, who needs to check himself. And I'm going to tell you why he needs to check himself. This is what he said. This is a direct quote from the head coach of the Syracuse University's basketball team. The head coach, Jim Boeheim. I don't think that we should ever compensate players. Mind you, I just told you he has a net worth of $12 million. He's making $2 million a year off the backs of controlling his hood dudes, right? Right. All right. Let me start over. I don't think that we should ever compensate players. They get more meals. They get more meals now. Hold on. I'm going to stop right there. Let me repeat this thing one more time because I want you all to get this before I go off on this tangent that I'm about to go off on and how I'm about to get really hyped up about this thing. Let me read it one more time. And this isn't the end of it. Let me just read you this, though. I don't think we should ever compensate players. They get more meals now. Let me stop right there. That's not the whole quote, but let me ask you all something. You all are sports fans, right? You all follow all sports. You all have been watching sports for a very long time. The only reason they're getting more meals now is because, wasn't it Shabazz Napier from UConn came out during the NCAA championship press conference before they played the game and said, I went home after practice many a times hungry because the dining facility was closed. I'm not wrong, am I? Like, I do remember Shabazz Napier saying that we're not able to eat because by the time we get through with class, then we finish class, they want us to be at study hall, and then after study hall, we got to go to practice, and after practice, ain't nothing open. We can't take no food from nobody. We can't get no money from nobody. So we don't have anything. We're hungry. And Jim Boeheim, you're going to come out and say, well, y'all get more meals now. Well, thank you, sir. Can we get some more teas too, sir? Are you serious, Jim Boeheim? Are you serious, bro? Oh, they get more meals now. You should have been feeding them more meals. You run them to death. You make them practice all this time. You want the highest performance from the games. Don't you think you should feed them? Listen, I'm not going to insult you all's intelligence. I think that the listeners of Sports Talk with Big Sarge and the people who view me through the social media app, listen, y'all are pretty smart, right? Y'all are pretty smart. Like I said, I'm not going to insult your intelligence like that. I honestly and truly think that you are very, very smart. I would not do that to you all. So I'm going to jump right back into this thing and talk about somebody else who did the same complaint. Now, I just told you that Shabazz Napier, right, during the NCAA championship, because they won that year, but during the NCAA championship press conference, Shabazz Napier says, we're hungry. Like, I'm hungry. I go home hungry a lot, but yet I come out here and play this game for the University of Connecticut, but it ain't nobody feeding me. Ain't nobody feeding me. So look, who else remembers when Arian Foster played for the University of Tennessee? Y'all remember that, right? Arian Foster is the former running back that used to play for the Houston Texans. Former Houston Texans running back, Arian Foster. Which, by the way, side note, he's a good rapper too. I'm not going to lie. His CD is nice. And his podcast is nice. Like, I support Arian Foster. He's right here in the city of Houston doing these things. Like, Arian Foster is doing the thing. When it comes to hip-hop and podcasts, he got it hands down. But how many of you all remember when Arian Foster came out and said, I used to rush for over 200 yards in a game at the University of Tennessee. Stands would be packed. Everybody would be screaming for me. Everybody be screaming for me. I got all these fans calling out my name and telling me how good I am, right? Telling me how good and great that I am while I'm playing the game. And then he said, I'll come home and I'll go back to my apartment and I ain't got no food in there to eat. He says, I know that I just left a full stadium, a full University of Tennessee football stadium where I just performed for them and we just won the game, and then I come back to my apartment and there's nothing to eat. How long ago was Arian Foster in college? So you see what I'm saying? So for Jim Boeheim to say, well, they're getting more meals now, well, you should have been feeding them more meals, Jim Boeheim. You should have been feeding them more meals. But hold on. Let's continue to quote that he says, all right? So for those of you all just joining now, I'm talking about Jim Boeheim and the hypocrisy that he spewed out because, one, he's mad at LeBron James. I'll tell you about that in just a second as well. But he says this. Now, once again, Jim Boeheim worth $12 million. I don't think that we should ever compensate players. They get more meals now. They can keep their meal money. The player is 17 years old. I've been working my whole life. There are a lot of 17-year-old kids that don't make money. What? Bro, are you serious right now? Add you to the list of people that I would never, ever tell a kid to go play for. The player is 17 years old. I've been working my whole life. There are a lot of 17-year-old kids that don't make money. You know what else, Jim Boeheim? Head coach of Syracuse, you know what else there are? There are a lot of 17-year-olds who aren't being exploited by universities and colleges all over the United States. There are a lot of 17-year-olds who are not making billions and billions of dollars for a nonprofit organization, which is the NCAA. There are a lot of 17-year-olds like that, Jim Boeheim. You've worked your whole life. Well, what was your athletic career like? Were you not good enough to make it, so now you feel like nobody else should get any money because you wasn't good in college sports? I don't know. I haven't even looked that up yet. I don't want to look it up. I don't need to look it up. For you to come out and say that they can keep their meal money now. Oh, look. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you for allowing us. Anything else we can keep too? Can we keep the book money too? Because I can get a book through my iPad, the little fancy thing that I take to class with me. Does it not sound like that? 17-year-olds who are not making money. I know a lot of 17-year-olds who are not making money. I know a lot of 17-year-olds who made you money over your 20-plus years at Syracuse. I know that. I know how much money Hakeem Ward made you. I know how much money Carmelo Anthony made you. I know how much Pearl Washington made you. Come on now. Since we want to talk about it, why don't you talk about the 17-year-olds who made you money, though? You know a lot of them who aren't making money. You know why? Because you and the rest of the relics that are still coaching say, why should we pay them? They're getting a college education. Well, guess what? I don't know about you, sir, but when was the last time you looked at the unemployment rate of college graduates? It is very high. Why don't you do some research, and why don't you go and read like Money Magazine or Time Magazine or the Wall Street Journal, and they will talk about these things. So like, you may not be caught up on this, Jim Boeheim, but millennials, those are the college graduates who are coming out of school in debt, who have to move back with their parents, and they have a degree. Some of them have a degree working at jobs that don't even require a degree. Some of them are working just so they can be able to pay back their student loans. So you're going to tell a kid who's making you $2 million a year, you don't deserve nothing. You getting this college education right here. That's what you getting. You should be happy. We're you getting room and board. Well, really? Because if I'm not mistaken, 2 years ago, didn't the NCAA basketball just sign a new 8-year extension for billions of dollars? Weren't you already getting $16 billion just for the NCAA tournament alone? For those of you all who do not know what the NCAA tournament is, that is March Madness. So for Jim Boeheim to come out and say, well, we giving y'all more food, and the $20 that we're giving you all for your meals, you can put that in your pocket. Don't spend it everywhere, though. Don't spend it all at one time. You can keep that. You know what? I'm going to tell you what. Come here. Let me holler at you for a second. You know that $20 we give you? Or that $35 we give you to eat off of for the week? You know what? Keep that. Uncle Jim got your back. Master Jim. I mean Coach Jim. Mr. Jim. That's what I would want you all to call me from here on out. Mr. Jim. Call me Mr. Jim, not Coach. Call me Mister. Give me the respect I deserve on this plantation. Give me that respect on this plantation. Call me Mister. We're going to come back to this topic. Sports Talk with Big Sarge right here on the legendary KY.